Okay, so just to recap where we left off from the last video, equation of a circle, if you have x squared plus y squared is equal to 9, x squared plus y squared on the left hand side, that was the same as what we had in the previous equations we talked about in the previous video. That's going to give rise to a centre, if you remember, of 0, 0, and that number there we discussed was the radius squared. So in this case the radius would be 3. Okay, what we're going to do now this time is we're going to do various circles. Well, probably we'll just look at one accurate one which I'll plot graphically, and we will change the equation such that the effect of changing the equation changes where the position of the centre is. Okay, so here's an example. So consider this equation. So we've got x minus 1 in a bracket this time squared plus y plus 2 in a bracket squared is equal to, and I'm going to say is equal to 9. So looking at that, you can see that the right hand side is the same. So it's not going to be any great surprise, I don't think, that the radius of this particular circle is going to turn out to be 3 again. But it's the effect of writing these two quantities as I've done here with brackets that's going to change the position of the centre. You might be able to predict, just by looking at it, where you think the centre will be. Okay, so let's work through it and see if you're right. Okay, so if I want to be able to plot this graphically, I need a table of values. And to get a table of values, and to be able to use a table of values, I need to get y as the subject of this formula. Well, it's a little bit more difficult than the one above, but it shouldn't be too difficult. First of all, you isolate the y plus 2 in a bracket squared by saying it's the same as 9 on the right, and you take that to the other side. So you get minus x minus 1 squared, like so. Okay, what you need to do now is get rid of that square quantity. So I'm going to square root the left hand side to get y plus 2. And so you need to square root the right hand side. So you square root all of that quantity. But don't forget, when you square root a quantity, you can get the plus or the minus version of that answer. So we actually put a plus or minus in front of that square root. Nearly there now. If you want to get y on its own, y will be equal to, if you take the plus 2 to the other side, you get minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 9 take away x minus 1 in a bracket squared. So there we now have the equation of this particular circle in the format which means we can now use a table of values. So, table of values, here we go, x and y values. Okay, we'll work out 7 values. I might add 1 or 2 more afterwards. And looking at this, I think what I'm going to do is work out here some r values, minus 4, I think I'll do minus 2, 0, 2 and 4. I'll do those, see what they work out to be, and I may add 1 or 2 more at the end. Okay? Right, if x is 4, let's work through this slowly. So I'm putting 4 in there. 4 take away 1 is 3. You square it, that's 9. 9 take away 9 is nothing. So you get the square root of nothing. Minus 2 plus or minus nothing. That's just going to be minus 2. So that was quite easy to work out. Okay, let's try x equals 2. If x equals 2, 2 take away 1, that's 1. Square it, that's 1. 9 take 1 is 8. The square root of 8 is about 2.8. So you're going to get minus 2 plus 2.8 minus 2 minus 2.8. Right, okay, so they are not the same magnitude, those answers, so you've got to be careful. Minus 2 plus 2.8. So that's either a positive 0.8 or minus 2 minus 2.8 is minus 4.8. So notice you do not get plus or minus the same magnitude. Plus 0.8 minus 4.8. So just be careful. Okay, if x is nothing, nothing take 1 minus 1. Square it. You get 1. 9 minus 1. 8. Root of 8. 2.8. You're going to get exactly the same calculation as the last one I've just done. So here I'm going to get plus 0.8 minus 4.8 as the two possible answers. Okay, if x is minus 2, minus 2 take away 1 is minus 3. Square it, you get positive 9. 9 take 9 is nothing. So you're getting minus 2 plus or minus the square root of nothing. Minus 2 plus or minus nothing is minus 2. So you can see we've got the symmetry of the situation going on here. Right, well, if I wanted to work out minus 4, perhaps I'd work out these values, but for the moment I think I'll just plot those simple 4 different points. Well, actually we've got 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 different points we've got so far. So I should have just enough space for you to be able to see this, hopefully. Okay, if I now plot 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'll do some negatives as well. Minus 1, minus 2. Well, I'll do minus 3, minus 4. Whether I need them all I don't know. Minus 3, minus 4. And the same down here. Minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. Okay, let's plot these points. Minus 2, minus 2. That's down here. Don't forget, if you want to get a circle coming out from an accurate picture, you need the x and the y scales to be identical. If they're not identical, you'll get an ellipse coming out, which is an oval shape. Okay, I'll do 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2. That's over here. Like so. Okay, next. If x is 0, you're going to get a positive 0.8, which is there. And if x is 0, you also get minus 4.8. Well, I need to extend this on a little bit to go to minus 5. So if x is 0, you also get to minus 4.8, which is down there. Like so. If x is 2, you get plus 0.8. And if x is 2, you also get minus 4.8, which is down here. Like so. I think you can see the basic outline of a circle forming there, but to me it looks like from the picture that there's going to be, the top of the circle might be at x equals 1. So I'm going to now work out x equals 1 and see if I'm right in my assumption from looking at that picture. Let's get some points to plot for x equals 1. Okay, so you're going to get 1 take away 1 is nothing. Nothing squared is nothing. 9 take nothing is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. So you're getting minus 2 plus 3, that's plus 1, or minus 2 take away 3, which is negative 5. So once again you're getting two different magnitudes. One is a plus 1, the other is a minus 5. So at 1 for x, you go up to plus 1 for y. And as I suspected, the top of the circle is smack in the middle of these 2 points. And then 1 with -5. So we get 1, and then down here, smack in the middle of these 2 points at -5, we get the other one. I think we've got enough there to demonstrate to you that we've got here another circle, like so. Okay, and I think you can see that the centre of the circle, if you do this accurately yourself and you plot it accurately, you can see this for yourself, is at that point there. Okay, and you can also see, if I draw that line in, that the radius of the circle goes from 1 to 4, which is a radius of 3. Well, if you remember what I said right at the beginning about that being 9, we did predict, similar to that one being 9, that the radius of this new equation would be 3. And it is. The radius is 3. The centre point there is 1 for the x and -2 for the y. Okay, let me just make some space. I'll get rid of all of this now. Get rid of all of this. Leave the picture and leave the equation that I was looking at. I think you can now see, and I wonder how many of you were actually correct in your prediction. If you've got a bracket which is squared with x's in, plus another bracket with y in squared, equals a number, this is the equation of a circle. Inside the bracket, if you have a -1, then the x coordinate will be opposite sign to the -1, it will be +1. If you have a y bracket with +2 in it, then the y coordinate of the centre will be the opposite sign, it will be -2. And if you have a 9 there, then the radius will simply be the square root of 9, which is 3. So I can write down here that the centre of the circle is equal to 1 minus 2. You can get this straight away from the equation, now you know how it works. Opposite sign 1, opposite sign -2, and you can just square root that. You know that the radius will be 3. Okay, so that's how it works. It's really simple once you realise this. Examination questions very rarely ask you to draw these graphs. This picture here and the ones I did on the previous video are simply an explanation to explain the link of the equation to the picture. You do not really need to be plotting accurate graphs for the exam. What you need to know is, if that's the equation, then you need to know that the centre is that and the radius is that. You also may need to know in certain questions, if the centre of the circle is given as that and the radius is given as that, you might need to go backwards and hence write out what the equation is, which is actually quite a straightforward concept once you get the idea. Okay, but they're for future videos, so if you check out those future videos, we'll do some typical questions involving this work. Okay.